Used to eat 25 bananas a day, and it's also known as Sexy Jesus.
Dan, you got me. I didn't know you knew that.
Oh, yeah. I like your podcast with James, Think, Act, Get.
Yeah, I guess when you put stuff out in the public sphere, you have to expect that people will then know that about you.
Hey guys, welcome to the Business and Bootstrapping Podcast, where we believe in busting your ass and bootstrapping your startup to build the business and life of your dreams. I'm your host, Matt Ward, and if you enjoyed the show today, please check us out at businessandbootstrapping.com to get more great tips, tricks, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Thanks, and let's get started. Hey guys, I know you want to jump right into the content of the interview and get some of the real meat and potatoes, as Dan and Ian would say. But first, I have to give a shout out to some of the people that apparently have been leaving us iTunes ratings and reviews. I wasn't really expecting too many people to be excited, but it kind of looks like they might be. We've got 24 new 5-star iTunes ratings. And over the course of the next few interviews, I'm going to make sure everybody gets their moment to shine. So our first one comes from Dreamer8596, and they said, listen to the first one, launched a medical device, and loved it. For someone trying to start their own online business, this podcast seems to offer a lot of practical advice. Can't wait to listen to the rest. Well, thanks for that, especially considering our first one was a little weak, but if you're liking that, I'm sure you love some of the new episodes. Oh, it looks like we have a review here from Ward Jessa. And she said, awesome new show. Just listened to episode 2 with Tim Connolly and have to say that I'm hooked. Had a ton of great insight into building a profitable company and maximizing the effect of marketing. We'll definitely be tuning in for future shows. Thanks so much. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And now, the last one we're going to read out today. Real and inspiring, says Shellshock369. The setting of the interviewer legitimately looking for startup business advice gives the interviews real and authentic insight, making it feel quite inspiring. The interviews themselves provide an array of useful advice and inspiring stories, and use the hindsights of successful people. If you're looking to start a business, you'll find something. Well, thanks so much, Shellshock. I'm glad that you're enjoying the show, and of course we'll get to the rest of the ratings and reviews in future episodes. So now, let's get right into it with Ezra Firestone, guys. Hey guys, welcome to the Business and Bootstrapping Podcast. Today I'm pretty excited to have Ezra Firestone on the line. For those of you who don't know, Ezra is pretty accomplished in the e-commerce world. He runs his own blog over at thesmartmarketer.com. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Ezra.
Hey man, thanks. Happy to be here.
So Ezra, I really wanted to start off by, let's take the best piece of advice you've ever given. What would you want to give to my audience? What do you think that they need to learn right now to change their business?
If there's one thing that I would urge you to do in your business, it would be to diversify. You see, so many people have a single point of failure in their business, and it could be a single traffic source. It could be the fact that they have no one else who knows how to do anything but them. Like, figure out a way to have diversity of traffic if you possibly can. So if you're really good at one traffic source, spend some time, at least maybe let's say 5% of your time, testing a new visibility source for your offer. You want to have at least 2 visibility sources, because if one dries up, like right now there's a lot of people, we're seeing it happen the same way it happened in SEO. There's a lot of people with their main visibility source is Amazon, and that's a really volatile environment, and they've got no other visibility sources for their businesses, and that's really scary. And so what I suggest they do is diversify into Facebook and learn Facebook ads and learn to generate visibility for their physical product offer with that social platform rather than the Amazon search engine. And so, perhaps it's that, like, you're the only person who knows how to do anything in your business. You're the only one who understands how to run the ads or to upload the videos, or like find someone, even if you're only buying, let's say you're buying 2 hours a week of help, or sorry, 2 hours. Let's say you're buying 5 hours a week of help. That's an hour a day. You could buy really good help at $15 an hour. What can you do with 5 hours? Like maybe the first month you won't utilize that 5 hours of someone's help very well, but eventually you'll get really good at utilizing that 5 hours, and that 5 hours will be worth 15 hours if you compare it to what it was worth the first month that you were buying 5 hours of help a week. And when I refer to buying help, what I'm referring to is hiring someone to help you out, to shadow you, to see what you do, and then train them on stuff. And the redundant processes in your business, the things that you do over and over, like uploading YouTube videos or sending out emails or syndicating content or setting up ads or whatever it is. Have someone else do that stuff and see if you can begin to delegate, because that'll allow you to scale. Oh, and the method, here's the method. It's I do it, we do it, you do it. This is the Schramko method. So first I do it and I document it and I record it on Camtasia or ScreenFlow and I put a little text file. And then we do it together. So then you sit down with the person and the two of you do the task together. And they go through the documentation that you made, standard operating procedure. You make little images and arrows and stuff. And then they do it on their own one time, and then you check their work. And now they've got that task.
I like it. I think that's a great system. How do you know when to start implementing that? Like for myself, I'm transcribing the podcast, I'm editing the podcasts, I'm working on doing all these things, and they take up a ton of time. But how do you know I'm not making any money from this right now, currently?
The question is, how much money do you have, right? If you've only got $500 per month to invest into your business, then you're not going to hire help, right? So basically it depends on, let's say you're spending, $75 a week, right? 15 times 5, 75. So that's $300 a month that you're spending on that help. So I'd recommend, hey, can you afford to take $900? Can you put $900 aside and say, for the next 3 months, I'm going to hire out $900 worth of help and see how that affects your business? Do that experiment. Take $300, do it for a month, see what happens. Experiment with it. And I'd recommend delegating as soon as you possibly can. But for your podcast right now, you probably don't have a monetization strategy on there yet. You're just building a community the way I did with Smart Marketer, where I just released content for 6 months and bought traffic to that content and engaged people and went and spoke at events and stuff. And then I started making them offers.
How did you know once you were ready to start making them offers? How did you know once your community had grown to the point where they trusted you, where you had something valuable to offer? What'd you do?
Well, I only had 400 people when I made my first offer, and my first offer was a very high-ticket offer. It was the Blue Ribbon Mastermind, which is my mastermind group. You don't need a big audience. You just need something relevant for that audience, and I prefer to sell higher-ticket items because it's easier to deal with less people, and obviously I also sell items that are sold in bulk to thousands of people. So I like both, and I like both customers, but the higher ticket was a more feasible thing to offer at that time. I always knew I wanted to make an offer, and I was just waiting for, when I could actually pull it off. And I figure that by the time you have a couple hundred subscribers, you should be able to make an offer to that group of people. And if it's a relevant offer, some of them should take you up on it.
So I know you've launched several masterminds, you participate in some. What's the biggest things you've learned from masterminds? What do you take away from that? And how soon should people get into their own mastermind group?
I think that masterminds are key. And the mastermind could be just you have a friend who you talk to. And I think later on in the episode, I'm probably going to give you my structure for how we do our little brainstorm and implementation sessions. We call them tanking and storming. And, that can be a mastermind. I think that, you could be in a mastermind just by joining some of the free Facebook groups out there. But mastermind is really just collaborating and working with other people and sharing what you're up to and listening to what they're up to. It's a really cool thing. I just think you should do it immediately. Join some form of community. I did a whole Think Act Get episode on community, and I just listened to that. That talks all about how to engage with relevant communities.
I think that's really important to get around other people that are doing things. If you're trying to work with people that really aren't as involved as you, then it's not going to work. You don't have the motivation. But I think really getting into a marketing group, getting into kind of group mastermind is the best way to do it. So you got to tell me about this 25 banana a day thing. What was the deal?
So about people who have diets, right? You got people who are vegan and you got people who are paleo and stuff like that, right? It's a pretty popular thing to be subscribed to a specific set of beliefs around eating. And so I was hanging out with this gal who was really into raw food, which is this diet where you don't eat anything that's cooked. And then that's one level, right? There's multiple levels of each one of these diets. And then the next level of raw food is something called natural hygiene, where you take it to the next level and you don't eat anything that you can't have an entire meal of. So no what they would consider stimulants like onions and garlic. This is clearly insane, right? It's you were clear you've gone too far at that point, right? Well, at the time, I didn't think that. I thought it was great. And I thought it was a very cool diet. And I thought it was healthy and the thing to do because I'd read all these books on it. And mostly I tend to get enthusiastic about the things that the women in my life are into. And she was really into it. And so we were doing it. And it felt pretty good until it didn't. And it made a lot of sense until it didn't. It's kind of how things go.
It's like life. You just fall into those fads, those things that are hyped up, and you try it, and then it just goes terribly wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for a while, and then it stopped feeling good, and so then I stopped.
Yeah, I think you're part of the reason I like you, part of the reason I like your show, the Think Tax Get podcast. Of course, we're going to have that in the show notes. Is that you're a little out there, you're a little kooky in a good way, and you use that to drive some of your results. You build success off of unconventional things. What's shaped the way that Ezra Firestone is Ezra? Can you give us a little bit of a story?
That was a pretty intense question, man. Thanks. I think it was a compliment and a question. So I think that what you're getting at is, like, how do I operate in relationship to business and life? And the way that I operate is I move towards what looks pleasurable. Like, everyone operates this way, right? You move towards the things that look pleasurable. Like, we all began our journey on entrepreneurship because we were chasing some form of freedom. We wanted freedom of time or freedom of location or financial freedom or freedom to, we probably were moving away from pain of some kind, right? And moving towards pleasure. And I think that those are the two primary motivators, pain and pleasure. You're either trying to get away from something that hurts or you're moving towards something that seems even better. And I've always had it that things were really good. And it's really been that way in my life. I've been very fortunate to have, I've had a really cool life. And so what motivates me are the things that look like fun. And recently, the things over the last year that has, in relationship to business, been the most fun is sharing with other people my experience and what's happening in my businesses and how I got to where and what I'm doing. And I've had a really positive response to that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you have a great methodology that not enough people follow. And I love your motto, serve the world unselfishly and profit. Take us back to really how you came up with this kind of solution. What really motivated you to, instead of having this push marketing where you're trying to essentially force things down people's throat, you went more of the route of, let me help you, and eventually something in the world will come around, karma, and I'll make success from that.
It's far more deliberate than that. I think it's a description. Like, it's just the way things work. If you and Zig Ziglar there are a lot of guys have said this. This is not unique to me, but if you can figure out a way to help other people, then you can monetize that and you can support yourself from that, and you can, I don't want to sell anything that doesn't actually have value, because then what happens is you may be able to sell it once, but if it's really terrible, you're not going to be able to sell it again. And I want to spend my time in regards to business building assets and things that are going to be around for time to come. And the way to do that is to deliver value to the people that you're making an offer to. And it's a pretty straightforward process. Basically, you generate visibility for whatever your offer is. You communicate to the community who is looking at that offer why that thing is valuable, and then they take you up on it, and then you treat them really well and follow up with them and make them additional relevant offers. Every business is based on a community of people, and so what we do is we engage with our communities in conversations and topics that are relevant to the stuff that's happening in their lives and the problems that they're having, and then we make them offers that we believe are relevant to them. So every one of our businesses, which is what you were getting at, is that every one of our businesses has a very strong content marketing component. So even if it's a physical product business, we have a really solid blog where we're talking to that group of people about what's going on in their lives, and we're making them an additional physical product and information product offers. So I think what you were getting at was that the way that we structure our businesses is around this concept that we've got a community of people, and we want to look at how we can relate with them on levels that are beyond just the products of ours that they're consuming.
So I know there's certain businesses that really lend themselves to this strategy. There's things that you can do to help your audience grow, to help them achieve their goals and successes. But then there's other slightly more boring or mundane business models. Let's say you're selling a toothbrush online, or you manufacture toilet paper. How do you go about?
All right, let's take the toothbrush model. So first of all, you don't want to be selling toothbrushes or toilet paper. Let's just start there, because those are commodities, and you don't really want to be in commoditized markets. You want to sell niche products. But the way that this works, if you're selling toothbrushes, this is a great example. What you're talking to people about is the topic of conversation that's relevant to toothbrushes, so that the cleanliness of their mouth and how that benefits their life and all that kind of stuff. And the way that and practically, I'll just give you the structure of how it's done. You create a piece of content. In our case, we like videos, because videos can be easily transformed into multiple media formats. And if you look at like any search result in Google these days, right? If you look at what Google's doing, if you put in a query, they're going to return an image result, a text result, a video result, an audio result, news results. Like, they understand that different people prefer to consume media in different formats, and so they cater to all of the different users on their search engine by providing multiple media formats. And when we create a video and put it on our blog, we strip out the audio and we put that on iTunes, and we create an image and we post that to Pinterest, and we transcribe the video through a service called speechpad.com so that there's a transcription on our blog, and we make a PDF so people can download that. So we're taking this content and we're optimizing it. So we create a video, we then optimize it, we upload it, optimize it so that it has a title and there's some keywords attached to it, and we've transcribed it and we've pulled out the audio and we've created an image for it, right? So we've optimized this content so that it is easily consumable in each media format, and then we syndicate that content out to all the social networks, so your Facebooks and your Pinterest and your LinkedIn's and Google Plus and Twitter and that kind of stuff, right? So that and iTunes, so that everyone who is in our particular community who is on one of these platforms, and most people in a specific community are on one of these platforms, are going to see our content on that platform, and then we market the content on those platforms so that people who don't already know us can see it. So we use Facebook ads to promote the content on Facebook, and we use Twitter ads to promote the content on Twitter, and LinkedIn ads to promote the content on LinkedIn, and YouTube ads to promote the content on YouTube. And then this content engages people in a conversation and a relationship with our brand, and that content is what we call non-direct response content. So of course it has a link back to our website, and people come back to our website and they enter their email address and they engage with our blog and our offers and stuff like that. But these are non-direct response, meaning we're just putting the content out there to engage with people. We're not actually making them an offer. And then we have pieces of content that are direct response, that are traditional sales messages and videos, and maybe it's a promotion or a sale we're running, and we market it to that same group of people that's been engaging with our content, which is how we continue to grow our community and then monetize as we go along. And like, if you think about it, if you're actually doing something cool and valuable that is helping people, then you can't really afford, you can't help people if you are not yourself well taken care of. You need to be coming from a place of surplus and be well taken care of before you can support and help other people. And so you've got to, it's your responsibility to make sure that that's the case so that you can continue to do what you enjoy doing.
I think you made a couple of great points there. I want to start first with what you said at the end. I heard a quote a long time ago, which really influenced me. And it was that you should start selfish so that you can become more effectively generous, or something along those lines, where if you start out and you're volunteering and that's what you do, you dedicate your time to helping people, you're not going to be able to help or influence near as many people as if you build a solid business to the point where you can leverage your assets, leverage your growth to affect and influence more people in positive ways. And I think that's something that you do pretty well in helping business owners to grow.
Maybe your agenda is not to help other people. Maybe your agenda is to, support. Obviously, you're going to be delivering value to your customers. You're going to be selling a good product, or else you won't stay in business very long. But perhaps you're not going to use the surplus that creates for you to go out and share content on the internet. Maybe it means you're going to be more active in your community at home, or you're going to be more active in your church, or whatever it is that you're into,
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to address was some issues that business owners have, and it's challenging. There's the differences between direct response marketing and just regular broadcast marketing, where you're trying to build brands, you're trying to build a message. How would you advocate people when they're doing the works that you're talking about? They're putting out the high quality content, the things people will like. How do they track the value? How do they put a measure to that so they don't feel as if they're wasting their time?
Well, I would allocate 10% of your budget to content marketing, or 15, let's say 20% tops. And I'd allocate 80% of your budget to direct response marketing, so that you've got money coming. If you can't make your direct response marketing work, then you're going to have a content marketing business model takes a little bit longer and is more of an investment up front. And over time, your articles rank. Over time, they get, your site becomes more powerful. Over time, as you generate more users, they go through your back catalogs of content, and you are generating subscribers and visibility from doing content marketing, and it's amazing, but it's better if you've got some kind of direct response component on the front end of your business, and this content marketing engine really works with your current customers, and it still gets you new people, and it can be very effective for getting you new people. But I would recommend that you spend your time getting those direct response marketing strategies to work, and use content marketing for 20% of your ad budget. So that's get your query-based Google AdWords ads, and your Google product listing ads, and your Facebook direct response ads, and your Amazon Seller Central ads and stuff like that, making you money so that you can then invest into building more of a brand for yourself.
Is there any particular type of ad you would advocate to beginners looking to get started in advertising who really don't have a lot of experience? I know in the past you've advocated Facebook ads, the direct pop-ups.
I still think that Facebook is the way to go for people who are just getting started. It's just such an easy-to-use platform. It's so intuitive. It's so easy to target. So easy to set up ad creative. It's really, really easy.
I'm not sure if you still have that. I actually attended one of your webinars a while back on Facebook ads. I don't know if you still have a video to that, but if you do, we can put that in the show notes. People can check it out.
I've got a couple hours of Facebook ads videos we can put out.
Okay, awesome. We'll put that up, guys, if you're interested in advertising. So the next question that I kind of wanted to get into, really e-commerce. So how did you start in e-commerce? I know you formed a company called Mensch LLC or Mensch Products, and you had several stores, but really how'd you get into the entrepreneurship game?
So I was playing poker for a living in New York City, and that was cool, but it was pretty degenerative because you're like staying up all night and you're sleeping all day and you're hanging out with a bunch of dudes and there's no women around. It was not cool. After like a year, I realized that this path was not for me. So I had a friend who was, this was a long time ago, but he was doing search engine optimization and selling information products through SEO and AdWords, like, back when we were running AdWords ads to commission, just a long time. This was 2004 or 5. And, he was working from his laptop, and that looked like really appealing to me because I was looking for a way to make money, and I had gotten a job at a yoga studio, and that was cool. And I enjoyed that, but it was still time for money. And I had started to usually what happens is people start learning about these concepts of not trading time for money. And, they maybe read some books like The Millionaire Mind or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or some of these other, Think and Grow Rich, and learn about the sort of the different way of thinking about money, and then move on to a specific business strategy or tactic. And that's kind of how it happened for me too, is I started playing with these ideas, and then I found this guy who was doing that. And so I made him a trade. Hey, I'll teach you poker and you teach me search engine optimization. So he did, and then I kind of was hooked from there, and I went, I put my 10,000 hours in. I learned search engine optimization. I was generating leads for other people and for my own websites, and doing lead generation and doing CPA advertising, which was big at the time. And then I'd gotten really, really good at a couple things, which was landing page psychology and conversion rate optimization and traffic. So I could buy traffic. It's just Google AdWords was pretty easy back then, and still is pretty easy to use if you know what you're doing. But once you figure out how to generate visibility for an offer, and then how to convert that offer, right? So how to get people to see different offers, and how to engage people in a conversation and then make them an offer that they want to say yes to. Then the question is, what's the most valuable use of that time, right? What's the most valuable traffic? And what I discovered back then was that physical products were the most valuable, because it was a lot better than affiliate marketing, because you had control of the whole sales funnel, and you could actually ensure that someone got this thing that they ordered and that they were happy, and you could keep a customer and market to them over the course of several years. It was just you could build an asset, which is what I wanted. So I got into that, and I got really, really good at it. And this was back when drop shipping was big, and so I did pretty well there. I think that is the story.
So I want to jump back to e-commerce in a second, but first we got to go back into the poker. So I hear you're in New York City, and you're hustling mafia men.
Well, I wasn't hustling them. I was winning. I was winning at poker, but it was all straight up. It wasn't a hustle.
Oh, no, not hustling in that way. I meant you took a competitive advantage. You found that there was a certain alcohol content in which you could play the system, find something that would make yourself have a competitive advantage in playing, in winning. How do you take that concept and apply that to the other areas of your business?
Let's look at that. So the story that you're referring to is that I was really good at poker, and I was doing really well, and I got invited to a particular game, these mafia dudes, and I couldn't win at that game. For the life of me, I could not win. And I read this book by this poker guy, and it was Barry Greenstein or something, and Aces on the River, I think was the name of the book. And he said that, hey, what he did was he would show up to the casinos at 3 a.m. after everyone had been drinking, and, he would go to sleep at 6 and show up when everyone was tired, and he'd come in and he'd just clean up. And so I decided I was going to try that strategy. I was going to show up after folks had had a few drinks. This was a game where they started drinking. And so I started showing up at like midnight to 2 a.m. and I started doing really, really well. So the problem was not that the problem was that I just wasn't good enough to beat these guys when they weren't somewhat drunk. And, the way that we apply that to our business is like we run our advertisements at certain times of the day because those times of the day convert better for us, right? So we do what's called day parting. It's a very, very important part of advertising.
I think that's huge, just finding some kind of competitive advantage. Do you want to say what time is your best conversion or how that works for you now?
Well, it's it's different for different businesses. In the beauty consumable business, it tends to be the morning. In the lead generation business, it tends to be the evening. So it just depends on what you're selling and who you're selling it to.
So speaking of the beauty industry, I know you run a site called Boom by Cindy Joseph. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you got into that and kind of where you guys are at right now?
Sure. We're doing really, really well. Boom is a cosmetic line. It's beauty products. So, moisturizers and skin. Okay. Well, I'll give you the story. If you want the story of how Boom came to be.
Let's get the story.
All right. So if we look at the way that men and women are viewed in society, in Western culture, men are valued for production, right? So like as we get older and as we make more money, we get more social power. And women are valued for youth and beauty. And so as they get older, this currency that they have diminishes in the eyes of society. And so it's not actually an accurate reflection of people's value. It's bullshit, but it is the way that society treats men and women. And so right now in America, we've got 79 million baby boomers. Half of them are women, and they're all collectively having the experience of their bodies aging on the outside faster than they are on the inside, and society is treating them differently as a result of it. And they don't like it. And everything out there is like anti-wrinkle, anti-age, anti-women really, but anti this experience that's happening to you is bad. You need to stop it. You need to fix it. You need to cover it. Like it's all this like, shit is f***ed up, and we don't agree with that messaging. And we think that that's so based on the conversations that Cindy and I would have. Cindy is my business partner in Boom by Cindy Joseph. And we were very good. I moved in when I moved to New York at 18, I moved in with her and she was 55 and I was 18, and we became like best friends, and we were really good friends. And so we would have these conversations about aging and like stuff like that, and ageism, and we decided. And she was a makeup artist for 27 years, and I was getting into this marketing stuff. And so one day I went to her and I said, "Hey, we should create a cosmetic line that sort of combines your experience as a makeup artist and now as a model and all this stuff." And so her first response was like, "Does the world really need another tube of lipstick?" And the answer is no, the world does not need another tube of lipstick. So we have very unique products, but it's more about the message. It's a pro-age cosmetic rather than anti-age. And we're saying that you are right just as you are, and that life gets better as you age, and that our cosmetics are sheer. They're not about covering you up. It's about celebrating your body as it is, and you earn those wrinkles, and you should display them. And like, it's really cool. And it was the right time for that message to that particular group of people. And it's a cool message, and they're really, really good products. So it's doing really well.
I love it. And I love how you say, you really explain, you want to cut through all the bullshit. So the next question that I kind of wanted to get into, what have you learned from James? What's James taught you that's revolutionized your business? And how can my listeners take advantage of that?
Well, let's just talk about the concept of mentors, right, for a second. So there are very few people I take that back. One of the things that you've got to be willing to do in order to continually scale and improve your businesses is be willing to be the student and be willing to learn and be willing to openly hear what other people are suggesting you do. And maybe you decide that you don't agree with those suggestions, but don't just shut them out because they're coming from someone else. That's step number one, right? Be open to and be like excited about and enthusiastic about hearing what other people have to say and what's working for them and what they think about what you're doing. And I think that's a really valuable skill that you can have, that some people just are not interested in hearing feedback about what's going on with them and what they're up to. And I think that's number one. So when I wanted to start a new business, as I often do when I want to start a new business, is I find the person who I think is doing that thing the best, and I go and talk to them about it, right? So I looked around. I was going to do a information marketing business in the business opportunity space that had a content blog and, standalone products and events and retreats and different, channels of content like podcasts and videos and coaching and masterminds and stuff like that. And I've been running masterminds for quite a long time, but I had never done an information marketing business in that vertical. And so I went and found the guy who looked like he was doing it the best, which was Shrammy, and started asking him about it, and then decided to pay him to sit down with me and show me his model for it. And then from there, I adapted and innovated and created my own thing that's based off of what he's doing. It's the same business, right? It's a community that's built through content, and that content engages with that community, and then you make them offers and you provide them with value. And so I've learned a lot. And I think Shram is responsible for Smart Marketer. So without James, there is no Smart Marketer. So you can and that's already a 7-figure business, and it's doing really, really well, and it's really cool. I'm getting positive feedback on it, and it's spawning all these other businesses in that, in the same vertical. So I think that fundamentally he's really phenomenal at a lot of things. One of the things he's incredible at is systems and structure. And in order to scale, you need systems and structure. And I understood systems and structure for an e-commerce business, but I did not understand systems and structure for a information and content marketing business. And so that's been, I think, the most helpful thing.
Take us to the differences between the two, and how do you know when you need to start implementing systems? I know a lot of times people can preemptively optimize. How do you know when you need to optimize?
Well, I think that the way that we do it, right, I'll just give you we've got the tank and the storm. So here's what we do. And this can dictate your entire schedule, right? So you need 90 minutes for a tank and 2 hours for a storm, right? And a tank is where you sit down with you by yourself or your business partner, whoever you're working on your business with, and you just overview, brainstorm, talk about the different offers that you have and what you're doing and how you could do it better and things you could implement. And out of that conversation comes a list of action items of things that need to be done. Like you'll sit down and we'll talk about Smart Marketer. Okay, what's going on? How's the mastermind? What's this funnel look like? How are the ads doing? We'll just look at all the different elements of the business, right? And the elements of your business are going to be visibility and then conversion, right? So how are you getting people to see you, and then how are you making them the offer, and then how are you following up with them and delivering and stuff like that. So that's the tank. And we do this in Evernote. We create an Evernote document. It's got all of our action items and stuff. And then at the end of the tank, we assign those action items to either people on our team or ourselves. And then we have what's called a storm. And we don't have it right away. The storm could happen 3 days later. And the storm is a 2.5-hour session or 2 hours where you just implement on the stuff that you decided you were going to do in that tank. And so you can really only have, let's say 5 or so projects happening, because you're not going to really want to have, or maybe 7 at the most, but you could do this with one project and do it really effectively. And you probably don't want to have more than one tank and storm each day, because then you've got all the other stuff you're doing in your business, which is just, we all have different things that we're doing beyond brainstorming and implementation. There's all kinds of other stuff that you end up doing, people you talk to and stuff like that. So we use that little system now for all of our businesses. And if you look at the difference between content marketing and e-commerce, content marketing is much more about, it's just the content production and then syndication model. And e-commerce is a lot more. E-commerce, once you have your site built, your offer is done. You're not really modifying it beyond running split tests and stuff. We weren't really doing video blogs and stuff like that before last year. Before, maybe a couple months before I started doing the stuff with James, we'd already figured out that content was a good idea. So it's just e-commerce is more about driving ads to your landing pages and seeing how they perform and optimizing and split testing from there. And content's a whole other, it's about engagement and relationship and stuff like that.
If you're just starting out, what would you advocate? Should people go the SEO route of content, or should they go for the paid ads right off the bat? And is it dependent on the industry?
No, I think you should start with direct response. I think you should start with Google AdWords or Facebook to whatever your offer is, and immediately start trying to generate customers and sell them something. Get that out of the way. Start selling immediately. Do that first. Spend 80% of your time on that, and then spend 20% building your community.
So I've heard the best questions to ask are the ones you want to know. Right now I'm working on starting a productized service aspect of the podcast towards focusing on about pages and company branding to help business owners and e-commerce entrepreneurs to really spread their message for what they're trying to sell to their customer. I'm trying to get clients to this right now. Built a sales page. Should I be running paid traffic to the sales page? What would be your advice on this?
I would. I mean, look, if you've got an offer that helps a group of people and you've got a sales page for it, I'd go target that group of people on a platform like Facebook, and then I would run that offer to them. Like I would target all the fans of Shopify and BigCommerce and all these other e-commerce platforms, and I'd send them over to my sales video and I'd see how it performed, and then I'd tweak it from there.
Would you put a bit more technical for a sales page? Would you put that hosted on your website so it's just a page of your site, or should that be a separate opt-in or landing page?
I mean, it depends. If you have what I think would be even better, dude, would be to do a really sweet article, what I call a pre-sale article. That's like the 10 elements of a high converting about us page for e-commerce business owners, right, or whatever. And then you do this super sweet article, and then you advertise that article to all these people. And in that article, there's a link that's like, and if you want this stuff done for you, go here. And then it goes to your sales page. You'll sell way more that way than you will. That's what we do with all of our businesses now. We run to what's called pre-sale content. So it's a piece of content that engages someone in a conversation about a subject that they're interested in that then leads them over to some kind of an offer that's relevant to the article.
I like that. I actually, when I created the sales page, it quite literally is a blog post about the 9 killer ways to build an about page with the offer just appended to the end of it. Should I split that into 2? Would you advocate having the separate blog post something that people can connect with and take value?
Yeah, I would have it be a blog post that linked over to an offer rather than having the offer on the page.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. So,
and I might even do a separate I might buy like aboutusguys.com, and like just on there, the only thing I have on there is like a little Powtoon video that's like, welcome to the aboutusguys.com. And we do, the best About Us pages for all the e-commerce, and this is why we're so cool, and, we're real easy to work with, and we'll make you an About Us page. We'll write it for you, and we'll do a video for you, and we'll make it like, we'll set it up, we'll call you, and we'll find out what your unique selling propositions are, and we'll find out what your story is, and we'll communicate that to your buyers so that when they visit your About Us page, they'll be more likely to want to engage with you. And then I'd have a call to action button. So I'd have like a straight separate branded offer specific to the product.
Okay. I think that's a good idea to really differentiate between the two and have a separate place. So my next question for you, you've done a ton with conversions. You've done a ton with both e-commerce on-page conversions and then getting people to opt into ads. What would be your advice for people that are looking to get started? They want to boost their conversion rates because they kind of suck. What should they do?
I recommend going through my conversion rate optimization course. It's free on my blog.
And of course, we'll put that in the show notes, guys. You should check it out. I know Ezra's got some pretty good stuff on there.
I think it's good.
So with that, how would you say the best method is to utilize free content to really get people to opt in, to join into your brand and to your message? I know some people are afraid of putting out their best content, that things will happen, people decide not to opt in, not to buy because they know they're getting the best stuff. How do you mix your content?
I think you should give away your absolute best stuff and easy to digest bite-sized nuggets that engage people, and then make the offer for all the rest of your stuff. So just give them everything that you have that's good in little easy to digest chunks, and then offer them a full solution. They'll want it if your stuff is good. I think that if you're afraid, you can't be afraid of showing people what you got. You got to show them what you got so that they want to buy it.
So like the little food shops at the grocery store that give you appetizers, so they let you try the product before you buy it. Something like that. Yeah,
I'm always getting caught by the free plus shipping, or the free try, taste this in Whole Foods thingy, and then I buy whatever it is I tasted, because I've now, it's commitment and consistency, and they've also given me something for free, so it's reciprocity. It's cool.
Okay, so Ezra, you've been super helpful, and I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I had really one more question, one more thing that I want you to share with my audience before I let you go. So, what's the worst piece of advice that you've ever gotten from someone? Something that someone told you that was just exactly not what you needed to hear. It hurt your business. It pushed you backwards. And what really would have been something that you would have liked to have known in the past?
I don't think that I have anything just like right off the top of my head of some really bad stuff someone's told me. I think that people will probably tell you a lot of things, and if you are interested in being effective in your businesses, what you'll do is listen to all of them and then test them out and see what works. Not just take anyone's word as gospel for any one reason, but like listen to a bunch of people, hear what they all have to say, and then try some stuff that you think is good based on all the stuff you heard, and then like find out for yourself what's good.
Okay, so really trial by experimentation to find.
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. If stuff's already working, that's why it's good to find mentors and people who are already doing what you want to do. And you get what you want from people who have it. You want to learn how to buy Facebook advertising profitably? Come read my blog. You want to learn how to like build an information and content marketing business? Go read superfastbusiness.com. Like, you want to learn e-commerce, or like if you want to learn how to build apps, there's stuff for that. So figure out what it is you want to learn, and then find the people who are doing that successfully, and then subscribe to their content and consume it, and then take some kind of action based on that, and then see what happens.
What if someone wants to do what you did with James Franco? They want to really get that mentor-mentee relationship, not through some kind of paid wall, but they want to connect with someone, really learn from them. What's the best way to reach out to a mentor to try to emulate them? How would you do it?
I think that step one would be to first join some kind of a community. I think the best, join some kind of a paid community or a Facebook group or something like that, so that you're engaging with a bunch of different people, so that you're consistently seeing what different people are saying about a given topic, and then do something in the area, like move in the direction that you would like to go, that this person may have some experience in. And then once you have had some traction, then you can perhaps talk to that person about this experience that you had that's related to their experience. But I wouldn't reach out until you've actually tried some stuff yourself, and then you've got content or something to communicate about. Hey, you do this thing, and I tried it out, and I had this result, and this happened to me. What do you think about that, or whatever? You know what I mean? Now you've got some way to bridge that communication gap.
So bring something to the table, basically. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Ezra. It's been a huge help. If people want to reach out to you, where's the best place for them to come and say hey?
You can go to smartmarketer.com. I've got my email listed there. We got a phone number. We got live chat. We're around if you want to talk.
Okay, awesome. And of course, guys, we'll put links to that in the show notes so you can find Ezra, businessandbootstrapping.com, session 12. Thanks so much, Ezra. Keep cranking out the podcast and doing some great stuff.
Thanks, dude. Thank you so much, listener. We appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thanks, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show, and hope you really enjoyed it. You can check out more great podcasts and blog posts at businessandbootstrapping.com. And I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. See ya.